Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 38th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jaden.
Hello.
And JC, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hey.
Do I always do it in that order?
I think so.
Because that is unintentional. I thought about it last night. Because I think I do, but I don't. That's not deliberate. But maybe I'm choosing favourites subconsciously.
Oh yeah, save the best to last kind of thing.
Oh, I was actually just more thinking it'd be like a ranking first.
Alright.
Okay. But, I mean, you can interpret it that way if you like, if it makes you feel better, makes you fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. But for those who don't know, this is Cinema Effect, everyone, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. So please subscribe and all those things. You can visit ratethispodcast.com/cinema effect to leave a rating and help the show grow. If you're new here, you probably haven't made up your mind yet, but keep listening, and then you can visit that website URL and do that, just like Charlie did. Charlie visited the site. He left us a review, 5 stars. He says, best podcast of all time, with all capitals and many exclamation marks. So that means he really means it, guys. He's really passionate about it. So thank you very much, Charlie. We appreciate you doing that. Feel free to follow the Instagram page. Remember to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comments section. This week, our specific question of the show, we'll read your answers at the end of next week's show, but we're asking you, what is the best Lego set based on a movie? Let us know. There's millions to choose from. I'm sure we all have one, at least one, floating around, maybe in your memory, if you are, not a dork and don't have them now. So let us know what your answer is to that. This week, we're reviewing and concluding our Godfather franchise viewing with The Godfather Part 3, which opened in the US on the 25th of December 1990, a full, what is that? That's 16 years after Part 2, right? Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the genre of crime drama, all pretty standard for us at this point. But the synopsis reads, The Godfather Part 3 follows Michael Corleone, now in his 60s, as he seeks to free his family from crime and find a suitable successor to his empire. But team, lads, what did we think of The Godfather Part 3? Is it so abnormal to hear me say that?
Yeah.
I want to start using it more now, actually. But sorry if it's what did you think?
I thought Jane said it's. I thought it was like. It's as in like you didn't like it. But I'm kind of mixed on it, I guess. There's a lot of bad stuff and a lot of good stuff, I guess.
Okay.
The acting, obviously, from Sophia, bad. Some of the Michael stuff, good. It's a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag. I must say, I didn't fully understand that this movie is actually quite polarizing. And having seen it, I understand why it's polarizing. There is a lot to like. There's a lot to not like. So I can see why different people sort of take different things away from it. I had thought that the consensus was that it's disliked more than this. Because when I looked on the letterbox, there was a fair few people thinking it's great, and then, plenty of people on the other side too. So it is more of a divisive film, where I sort of thought it was just negative, which is wrong. But Jane, how did you feel about it finishing it 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago?
Yeah, no, I quite liked it actually. I was I'm on the positive side of this. I do agree. I mean, like it's undeniable that there's a lot of shit, but I think it's better than Part 2 at least. But yeah, no, I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent time.
I feel like we're all going to be on a relatively similar page with this. I thought the movie was pretty decent, to be honest. I quite liked it. I feel like, it definitely went by much faster for me than Part 1. Oh, excuse me, than Part 2. But there's a lot of shit, absolutely. Fizzy's right about that. Sofia Coppola's acting is awful. It's one of the worst performances I've ever seen.
The fact that it's paired with like this really awkward and shitty relationship as well, it does not help it either.
I know. That shit was really, really bad. Everything, with Vincent, Andy Garcia in there. Yeah, awful. Just awful. Those two have no chemistry as actors.
They're fucking cousins. They're not meant to have chemistry either. That's the thing. I mean, they're fucking cousins.
100%. Is this, genuine question, is this like a common thing in Italian culture, you know? Like, can cousins hook up?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because, like, no one in the movie seemed to find it that weird.
To be fair, it was 1979. Like, when it's set. So maybe it was a bit different.
So, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That was obviously one of the main things that stood out to me. But outside of the fact that this is incestuous on, I guess, on a subjective level, depending on how much you're bothered by it. But yeah, they just have no chemistry. The relationship's just boring. I don't care about anything that's going on with them. You know, oh, it's true love, and they want to be together, but they can't. Oh, boo-hoo, you know. And then I feel like Anthony, the son also of Al Pacino, is also pretty bad. He's not as bad.
Yeah, I actually quite liked him.
You quite liked him? I liked his character. I
think at the start, like when he's telling Al Pacino, you know, I don't want to be a lawyer and shit. I think there was probably a bit of problems there. It just didn't feel 100%. But like as he went on and as he became, you know, the opera singer and stuff, I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, he actually. Oh no, that's a fair point. Actually, he was like decent on the opera stuff. Maybe he is some sort of opera dude in real life. I don't know, because he was good in that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot to like too. I think Al Pacino's terrific. I think Michael is once again, you know, he is the Godfather. He is the central character of this trilogy, and I feel like in his department, in what his story is in this movie, it doesn't really let down. I think it's a solid conclusion for him. And, you know, we were talking about how it's getting this recut version sort of coincidentally very, very soon, and that sort of changes the ending. But I thought the ending was pretty solid.
Oh, yeah.
If you take it, you know, Sofia Coppola's performance is constantly the caveat in this, but in terms of what the story is and the final scenes, I thought all that was really good. I don't really know why I would want to change that necessarily.
Yeah, the actual death on the stairs is like pretty great. Like everyone's reaction to her death and to Michael's reaction, just the screaming, you know, that's really great. And then the montages with the music and everything.
Michael's screaming, like, I really like it because I think it was dragging the line of it could have become cringe and really funny really easily, but it wasn't, at least for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just given the nature of how he's screaming and how over the top it sort of is meant to be, but it worked in the moment for me, which is great. And then, yeah, you're right. You get these flashback scenes that are kind of a bit of a retrospective on the whole series, leading up till Michael dying the same way his dad did, just sort of passing out. Which, I thought all that stuff was great.
It's worse as well because he's alone there where Apollona died. Where his father's death was good. He was with the kid and, you know, at the home and stuff, and he's just in this deserted place with this dog sitting on a chair. You know, it's a lot more depressing than the Vito's death.
It is. It absolutely is. That's a great point. I didn't even put that together. So that's where Apollina died. That makes sense.
Yeah, Apollina. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's where the car blew up, I think.
Yeah, it did look like that. Yeah, I didn't even think of it. But yeah, that makes sense. And I appreciate that she was brought up quite a few times and seemed to be sort of weighing on Michael emotionally, whereas I don't think she's never brought up at all in the second movie. So I like that was a thread that came up again because I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, I like the stuff with Kay and Michael in this film. How she can't trust him anymore, just him trying to get redemption and everything from her.
I feel like they found their peace, and that's really what Michael is searching for the entire movie. After part 2, to me, was this soul-crushing series of events, you know, that Michael deals with based on his position and what he's become in his life. And this movie is sort of I sort of view it as a quest for redemption, like you mentioned, Fitzy. him trying to find his peace. He's clearly distraught over his past and the events of part 2 and what he's become. And I like that it's a perfectly logical continuation of that arc for that to be what this movie is. And the movie is super bittersweet for him, I think, because I think in a lot of ways he finds that peace. He finds it, I think, with Diane Keaton, with Kay. I think he finds it, when he confesses and he confronts that emotional distress when he confesses Frodo's murder to the priest. I thought that was a good scene. But then, of course, in other ways, it sort of all ends up coming around of just, still being lonely and depressing, and he still ultimately pays the price for what he's done with dying alone, losing his daughter. It does end on a pretty depressing note, even though I think he does sort of have emotional highs throughout the whole movie.
Are all 3 based on a book, or is it just the first one that's based on a book and then 2 and 3 are just, tangents from that are created by?
First one and second one are based on a book, and then Coppola and Pizza wrote the third one together after the studio wanted Coppola to come back for it. Because originally Coppola was only going to do 1 and 2, and he said that was the full story.
Yeah. I know that I think the whole Vito flashback stuff in part 2 is... Oh, actually, hang on. Or is it the other way around? One of the storylines in part 2 wasn't in a book. One of them. I don't know if it was the Vito stuff or the Michael stuff. Do you know,
okay.
Fitzy?
No, I don't know.
Oh, shit, I can't remember. It's one of them. One of them is purely to the movie. One of them is a book thing.
Yeah, but I don't think part 3 was a book.
No. But no, thank you for bringing that up, Jane, though, because I think I was going to get ahead of myself a little bit, and I think it is important in discussing this movie to sort of get a little bit of the background of how the film sort of came to exist. Francis Ford Coppola once admitted that he was still unhappy over the final result because of a lack of time on working on the script. According to him, he wanted $6 million for the writer, producer, and director fee, with 6 months working on the script writing. The studio instead gave him only $1 million in fees and 6 weeks to work on the script in order to meet the Christmas 1990 release date. So, you can read a lot about the background. He really didn't want to make the movie. I had also read elsewhere that I think he might have been broke at the time, so there were very much financial factors involved for Francis himself, pressured into doing this movie at all. But then, of course, it originally did have the title The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, and it wasn't meant to be a part 3 per se. It wasn't meant to be treated as a full sequel, but instead an epilogue, to the story of parts 1 and 2. So what this movie was and what it was intended to be sort of got all mixed up, and due to financial and studio reasons, so I think that's important to understand about the movie and why it isn't super well regarded in a lot of circles.
Yeah, I was watching this video about Coppola's career, and after he made some musical or something that he put a lot of money and stuff into, and that's what made him broke. And so he had a long period of films where he either had a lot of creative control and did what he wanted to do, or he was doing something purely for the studio, And this was more like one of those films.
Yeah, it's a shame that happened, and I understand why people sort of would dislike the movie for this reason and see it as sort of a bastard child, I suppose. But at the same time, like, thinking about the context I just read, the fact that Coppola got, severely underpaid for what he wanted. He only had 6 weeks to write the script. I think the movie's honestly pretty decent for for the time he had and all that considered. I wouldn't have been surprised if it turned out way worse. I mean, is it bad that I feel like I want to jump on the Mary performance again? But we've said everything there is to say, really. Like, it's just really bad. I'll tell you what, though. I wrote, I promise this is a completely uncut note I wrote in the first 15 minutes of the movie. Is the girl who plays Mary really bad? ? Anthony 2 ? I have to be fair. It's because I was like telling myself, like, okay, there's only 15 minutes. I've only seen a little bit of this movie. Let's remain judge free. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know. It's just, I'm really glad. I feel really bad for Sofia Coppola, who's obviously these days a well-regarded director and, super talented in her own right. I'm sure I haven't seen any of her films, but she probably has to live this down a fair bit because the way she delivers dialogue is just. I feel like she's mumbling or something.
It's really lifeless.
Mm.
Yeah, but he's cast other family members in films as well. Like Connie is his actual sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Okay.
he started Nicolas Cage's career because Nick Cage is his cousin. He's her nephew, and he put him in 3 of his films.
Okay.
So I mean, sometimes it doesn't work, Maybe was it
right.
a money thing as well? Oh, actually, no. You'd have to pay, obviously. That doesn't make sense. But
well, it was meant to be. How do you say her name?
Winona Ryder. Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
I guess she'd be more expensive.
Well, no, she actually flew to set and she was ready to go, but she had to drop out because she was diagnosed with exhaustion and she just physically couldn't do it. That wasn't a money thing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, again, another factor to consider. Like, I don't think Francis had the grand vision of Sophia being in this movie, But I apologize. I don't want to beat a dead horse on this. I'm sure I'm just want to talk about it because I'm new to this. I think people have probably talked about this performance for 30 years at this point. So there's not much original to be said about it, probably. A devastating loss of this movie, guys. Tom Hagen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely devastating.
But fuck yeah, I mean, like, you kill like the best character off screen. I mean, like, the fuck.
Oh.
Did he die? Or, like, what happened?
They have the quick line where he tells him like, "Oh, I wish you're." Oh yeah, because his son's in it, right?
Yeah, because he says his father never got to see him ordained, but Michael did.
Yeah, he never lived to see it. Yeah. God damn it.
Tony. Wait, what are you saying? Is Tony Michael's? Tony's Michael's kid, right? Or is it?
Yeah, but
the priest.
The young priest guy.
Oh yeah.
He's in a few scenes. He's Tom Hagen's kid. And
okay.
Yeah, they say that. Yeah, but I know. Yeah. Oh, it's such arsehole. And the reason this one is particularly painful is this is a money situation. All right, Robert Duvall turned down the $1 million studio offer to recreate his role of Tom Hagen. He did not feel that his proposed salary was appropriate with what Al Pacino and Diane Keaton were getting. Al Pacino got $5 million. Diane Keaton got $1.5 million. So he wanted a pay raise. But that led to, of course, the character being written out. And Duvall later defended his position on the grounds that the only reason why anyone wanted to make another Godfather movie after so many years was to make money. Of which he was correct. So that's such a shame, dude. Like something so like petty as contract negotiations, and that's a shame. But I feel like he could have been like I like Michael's stuff in this movie. I feel like he could have elevated it to that next level for me, having him around still.
I mean, if he was in there and Winona Ryder was in there, it would be like really great. I reckon.
I was really hoping they'd do something more with his son. I don't know, like make him like a new kind of part of it, especially when like they go to Sicily and they are tied up in the church bit. I was hoping that he'd kind of become like an inside man or some shit, or like there'd be like some more significance on him,
For sure, it kind of felt like the son was just there to tell us that he's dead.
Yeah,
I don't really remember any other thing he did.
Well, I think that the son kind of shows because like the way that the son gets into like the Vatican is through Michael's connections, and I think it's kind of to show like the corruption of like that archbishop dude or whoever it was.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
What was so Vincent? I liked Vincent in the movie, but Vincent.
So did I.
His rival or whatever, the guy.
Joey Zaza.
So why do they hate him? Because I feel like that wasn't fleshed out as much, like what he actually did.
Because Zaza was talking mad shit, and Vincent was having none of it.
Yeah, but he did something to the neighborhood or something, right? Like he was corrupting it.
No, he was protecting the neighborhood. Zaza was actually doing a pretty good job of keeping drugs out of that area, and he was like keeping everyone at bay.
Oh,
But then like yeah, because like that's what they said. Because like then they're saying, you know, later, like after Zaza's death, they're saying now, you know, these other people are moving in and drugs are coming into the neighborhood and stuff. But it's just that because Zaza wasn't faithful to Michael, so Vincent said, you know, we need to get rid of him.
Why wasn't he? Why didn't he like Michael?
Well, I mean, he was in league with. I don't know why he doesn't personally like him, but Joey was in league with what's his goddamn name? Albatello?
Antebello, something.
Eli Wallach. He was in league with Eli Wallach. And of course then subsequently the Vatican and shit. So like I presume that you'd also just cop it down to just potential business benefits from taking him out.
What did Wallach's character do? Was he just like another Don or something?
Well, yeah, he was like an older Don, like of another New York family, I guess, right? And he was trying to like manipulate Michael so that he because he was in on the whole on stopping the how do you say that company's name? Immobiliari? that whole deal that was going to make Michael legitimate. He was kind of down on stopping that. So yeah.
Sucks so much how this is what Michael said he was going to do for like 3 movies, be legitimate, and he just misses out on it. You know, I think that was like one of the biggest tragedies in this one, at least, is the fact that he gets so close to grasping, you know, what he's always promised, and it's just ripped away from him constantly.
I think, yeah, I really like that as a story beat for this, because in the second movie, Kay, you know, we talk about it, she wants him to become legitimate, and he's like, yeah, I'm trying. But we never really, in that movie, I don't believe, get the sense that he is actually trying, outside of him just telling Kay that. Mm-hmm. So I never got, like, to me, he might just be lying. But to see him in this movie, he really did care about that, and he that is seriously sort of his life's work at this point to make that happen. And that's why I really like the line, you know, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. He's like, I was so close to doing this, but now I've got to play my revenge card on all these people.
Well, he definitely does try to be legitimate in the first film, because the first one is talking to the senator, and he's trying to get him with the Cuban government.
Well, wasn't that deal in the second one all about the Cuban casinos and the Cuban resorts and shit?
Oh, yeah, maybe. But I think he was trying to...
No, but you're right about the senator, though.
Right, yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Because there was a scene in the second one where there's the... They're at a big table with the Cuban government, and everyone's given, like, official titles. And this guy's, like, the leader of this big company, this guy's this, and he is, you know, he's Michael. So he's not, like, as official as those people, and that's kind of what he wants. So, yeah, it all comes around full circle in this one.
It does.
The business stuff was a lot easier to follow in this one than the second one.
I agree.
And I'm very thankful for that, yeah. Because I think that's where like a lot of my engagement dropped for the second one, was just not understanding all the interactions and the relationships with the businesses. But this one just lays it out plain and clear and easy, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Super easy. Old mate Michael wants to acquire... Dude, how much... God, he's got some cash in the bank, you know what I mean? He wants to acquire
this
conglomerate. Yeah, exactly. God, I need to get on that, you know? But he wants to acquire this conglomerate under, you know, under the Catholic Church for like, what was it, $600 million or something? That was wild. Yeah, and that would make him legitimate. Pretty simple stakes right there. And of course, some powerful people don't want that to happen. Makes perfect sense. And then, of course, all that, you know, we got to talk about the helicopter hit attempt, which I thought was like a cool moment. I don't know, like it felt like we've seen a fair few hits in these movies, a few assassination attempts, and this one was the biggest scale one we've seen. And it felt like, you know, it belonged in a part 3 in a trilogy of. There hadn't really been something, like this before. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It felt a bit Scarface though. Like it felt a bit too over the top for me. I feel like
just in terms of like the machine gun raining fire
yeah,
forever.
I feel
okay.
like Coppola saw Pacino in that. And was like, fuck it, I'll borrow some of that and chuck that in there. And like, I don't dislike it. I think it's okay, but it's for me to classify as like a good beat for the plot. It's a bit much.
Yeah, I thought the hit.
I can see that.
The hit on Zaza was a lot better.
Oh, dude, the hit on Zaza is fantastic. That's brilliant.
That was really good. I really appreciated them kind of getting that. Not obviously not a flashback, but that callback to part 2 and it being the same parade that Vito does it at too.
I just like the way they do. They have they shoot Vincent in that scene. You see, the police officer foot or whatever, and the horse and everything, and then he's actually. It's simple, but I thought it's really.
How did we feel about Vincent? We already mentioned we liked him a little bit. I thought Andy Garcia was good in this movie. I think, outside of when he's with Mary, but that's not really his fault. I liked him. I thought he had solid screen presence, and the moment when he's sort of given the rank of Godfather, and he's sitting there on the chair, like I believed that right there. I was like, dude, I feel like this guy could carry a franchise. Like he was solid in that position.
He actually looks like like young Vito, Robert De Niro in some of those moments.
Yeah, that's true.
The suit and the hair and everything.
I didn't buy into it at the start, but yeah, I think as it went on, he grew on me.
I must say though, speaking of that scene where he becomes Don, I was very confused by that, and I feel like I was missing something because, like, his whole thing in the movie is that he's hot-tempered. He's rash like Sonny, which is obviously his dad, and that was a cool little thing there. That's a natural sort of character trait and arc to follow through on. But so that's why he does the hit on Joey Zaza. He goes against Michael's orders and does that. Michael's pissed at him. He tells him like 80 times in the movie to stop being hot-headed. Tells him to shut up. Like, cool, okay. So I'm expecting some character progression from this, but instead, I don't know. I feel like he just sort of became. Michael just decided, okay, you're going to be Don now. Is there something I'm missing there? It was just strange to me. Like, I feel like he never transformed or never really changed, even though we were sort of meant to believe he had. Maybe.
The way they actually did it though confused me because it felt like Michael was just talking to. He was just talking to Vincent, and then suddenly it was Don. Like, and then everyone, outside just came in, but it felt weird because it felt like they were just talking, and then it was like a ceremony type thing.
Absolutely, it was 100%. That's how I feel too, because I feel like that when they're just talking about, like, I think Vin was just saying something along the lines of "I want to be with Mary" or something, and they were just kind of having one of their standard conversations that they have in the movie, and then suddenly it's like, now you are Vincent Corleone from this moment forward. Yeah, transition immediately. He sits down in the chair and everyone comes in. Yeah, exactly as you say. It's kind of jarring.
Anthony's singing of the Sicilian song to Michael, it was brilliant.
That was cool.
It's so haunting and such a brilliant, like, reflective scene. And, the moments of, like, I think Apollonia flashes up for, like, a brief second and he's just contemplating, I think. That was a really fantastic little scene.
That scene was really good. I like how Anthony was used sort of as a character to, I don't know, communicate some part of Michael's arc a little bit throughout the whole movie. And it's a simple one, It was as simple as Kay coming to Michael and ask him, can you let your son be a musician? Can you let your son be a singer? And Michael was hesitant and allowed it. And then it came simple as Michael just accepting that. And I love the line when Michael says when they're walking out of the opera that the name Corleone will be associated with a voice. I thought that was awesome. That's like, he's proud of his son, and he's proud of the fact that it's sort of a veto to Michael's situation, that he's glad that he isn't, bringing on that cycle of violence of bringing his son into the family. That's the mistake that, he had made.
Mm. I just like putting like Sophia's performance aside. I think like that both like the children's characters were decent as like reflections of what Michael was. Sophia was kind of the rebellious and kind of wanted to break out a bit, and whereas Anthony had that maturity in him, and he understood, but he still went to go his own separate way. And I feel like they're both reflective of Michael in that first film.
For sure. And they even talk. Doesn't I think Michael and Kay talk about how they see a lot of Michael in Anthony. I think young Michael and Anthony. But yeah, no, that idea though of having these kids being those sides of Michael and sort of bringing about that arc that at that point had been going on for 20 years in cinema. I think that's a really sound thematic idea to put into your script. And I think, yeah, I agree. Obviously, Sophia, sorry. But outside of that, I think it's a good idea too. Yeah. Talking about the music a little bit though, what about the score? I mean, it's like, it's another situation of part 2, I guess, where it's, and 1, where they just use the same theme over and over again, and it's a really good theme. But the score also had moments that I thought were pretty bad too. There are some scenes where characters are talking and there's just really generic, like chimes and sort of upbeat to like trying to just match the tone of the scene, but it just felt super off, and I would have preferred no music in little bits and pieces. Did anything stand out to you guys, different from the other 2 movies?
I really loved in like Michael's diabetic episode, as they're taking like the massive drum beats as they come to the hospital or whatever it is. And just like
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think I really love that. But also just like the main theme, just hearing that again at the start of the film. Like I wrote it down on a note. I was like, "That's just fucking fantastic. It's just so fucking brilliant." But we all know that. So, but so aside from that, just like that little bit, just following the hit. I think the score there was pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, but dude, the opening theme, you can make the worst piece of shit of a movie that's ever existed, but if your movie opens like that with the black and just fading into the title cards with that music, I don't care if it's a terrible movie, I'm gonna think that it's cinema. I'm gonna think that it's belongs in a pristine theater or something, because it's awesome.
Yeah, I like the ending theme and the same where they play when Mary dies and the montage and all that. And I didn't think they actually repeated the same thing too many times here, but it was used well. Actually, I thought there was more variety, but
yeah. All right, opera scene, I guess. Opera assassinations. This is sort of another issue I have with the movie, is that the movie feels often quite derivative in its structure, and it starts off with, guess what, guys? It's another Corleone family function, and and guess what? It ends with the intercutting assassinations, and I don't know. I liked it in part 2 as being, actually, I don't know. Maybe I think it is just the fact that having it done a second time is sort of cool and can be seen as just a callback, and that's fine. But now a third time, it's like, okay, really? We're doing this again? It felt a bit lazy, even though I did like the opera stuff generally. So, but that was sort of a con I had of the whole thing in general, which is obviously very much tied into the ending here. But regardless, I thought the intercutting between the opera and the kind of planes of action of Anthony singing versus the drama in the stands of the opera versus the drama in the Vatican City there. I thought all that was pretty well edited and cut together, and it was pretty tense at times. Some of the action had goofy moments, because there's the old man assassin dude who's trying to snipe Michael, and when he fakes dead against the wall, that was super weird. And the other guy came walking in, it's because he tried to make it look like the other dude had killed him, but they're both sort of just standing against the wall, and the other guy slowly walked up to him and said, "Oh, hey, you got him." I know that was kind of goofy, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I wouldn't say I liked it any more than part 2's same ending sort of sequence there. Part 1 still wins out, I think, if we're going to rank them.
I like how they use real life events and they tie it into this, with the actual death of the popes, and and how they tie it together to make the business transactions and their shakiness all that more real, because the death of the pope is real, So the way they blend fiction and reality there, I thought was pretty clever.
So those popes like died around that time in that order, in that sort of space.
Yeah, John Paul I, he died like only a month after like he was ordained, or not ordained, because that's
Right.
like after he was like announced as the priest or whatever.
Got it. Okay. I see. I assume that stuff was fictitious. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, I like that a lot. What other weird shit is there to mention? I love when that guy did the donkey noise. Whatever that was about. Was that meant to? Did that? Because he did it again at the end. Was that meant to be like a signal of some sort? Of some sort?
Because that was like, it was a distraction for the hit. I think. Like I think it was that, right?
I guess it was something to do with the hit, right? I'm not gonna lie. If someone were attempting to assassinate me, and they use that as a distraction, it would work. I would be very distracted.
I was expecting more from the reporter character that they introduced at the start.
Oh right, yeah.
Because
I forgot about her entirely.
yeah, they place some significance on it and her constant like badgering of the characters. But then they kind of just tossed her aside as soon as like stuff started to actually kick in.
Was she just there for Vincent to save someone during the attempt on his life in the apartment? That was a cool scene, though. He was ruthless. He just gunning down that other guy as well.
Yeah, it probably is cool, but like at that point, I still didn't really like his character that much. So I was just like, yeah, like dickhead. What are you doing, killing him? Or you could have used him, or whatever.
Sure,
but
yeah.
No.
Do you love when Johnny Fontaine came back?
Oh yeah, dude, fuck yeah, Johnny Fontaine. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, dude, it's fucking sick.
Yeah, I quite liked it actually. It was a bit silly.
The cut in the helicopter scene with that guy's like getting his coat was really dumb. It's like really wants his coat and he dies.
Yeah, but they're Italians.
Oh, that was really. Oh my god, you're so right. Yeah, he said it's my lucky coat and ran back for it. He deserves every bullet he took there.
Gee, Finny.
Very good. Let us conclude our final verdicts for The Godfather Part 3. First of all, we have to determine what Fitzy's scale is this week. So what out of 5 things, will you be ranking or rating the movie on?
Oh, I thought you were going to come up with that.
Well, it can be a team effort if you like. How many lucky jackets?
Lucky jackets. Oh, that's really good. Yeah. I don't know. 4 lucky jackets out of 5.
Wow.
There's a lot of silly bullshit, but I think the Pacino's performance and the Michael stuff in this really works. I really like the ending and stuff, so yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised. That's high. I like it. I didn't ask though. Do you guys know when? Because I don't know a lot about Al Pacino's acting history. His voice has transformed since Part 2. Was there like a defining moment when everyone can pinpoint Al Pacino's voice became super old suddenly?
I don't know. It's really smoking Cuban cigars for Scarface and just fucking, shot his lungs out.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that sounds about right. 4 out of 5. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I feel sorry for new listeners. It's probably really confusing. I think the movie's pretty decent. Like I said, I like it more than I dislike it. It's got some pretty unforgivable things and some pretty silly things. I think we can all agree on that. But the core of the story is solid. I like how it ends Michael's arc of it being, I constantly talk about how I feel like in Part 2 he loses his soul, and this is an attempt for him to find peace. And he does with Kay and Fredo, but regret sort of hangs around for him. And this movie is sort of about that and him trying to juggle that with his legacy and his children and his final years as his health deteriorates and he carks it alone. And I think, all that, that paragraph I just sort of said, I think it's a really solid story for a conclusion to this trilogy. So that's the aspect I mainly like about it. So I'll give it a 6. But what about you, Jaden?
I give it a 7. I think it's really good. But like at the moment, I'm holding out for the recut to kind of boost me up to that next level, because I really think there is a really great film in there, and I just think you need to find it. And I think if you chop away, well, because the way they're talking about the cut doesn't sound like they're going to cut away like the stuff that I want them to. So who knows? But yeah, I don't know. 7 for now.
Okay. I'm curious about the cut too. I'm definitely not going to watch it, but I'm looking forward to firstly reading about the differences and then also watching any new scenes on YouTube. That's what I'm
What does
going to do.
what does it sound like they're going to cut, Jade?
Because Finney keeps on saying that they're changing the start and the end, right? Is that what you keep on saying, Finney?
That's what they keep marketing. Like that's the big marketing push. A brand new ending and beginning is what they keep saying.
Yeah,
but there
whereas
could be other little changes.
The ending is pretty great, one of the best parts, you know. And I'd rather them cut out the relationship stuff between Mary and, you know, fuckhead, whatever his name is. Yeah, that one. And just, you know, some other like stuff out the film, but you know, I mean, we'll see.
Nothing they've said as far as I've seen implies that they're planning on doing that, but
well, it's just like, it's like I mentioned yesterday to you about like that article, like where like Sophia said that, like, you know, the recut saves her performance. And because of that comment, I'm kind of hopeful that they're going to get rid of a lot of the relationship shit. So we'll see.
That is a weird thing to say of the air. They must be doing something to it. Very good. We completed the Godfather Trilogy. But guys, where are we putting this one in our little ranking that we're doing here? That I just always like shoehorning in when we finish a trilogy or a franchise here. So Jane, you're above part 2 on this.
Yeah, so for me it's part 1, part 2, part 1, part 3, part 2. You know, top to bottom ranking.
And are you above or below part 2 on this one, Fitzy?
No, I think part 2 is still better, just because of the Fredo stuff. And
I'm also putting part 2 first, above it. So sorry, Jaden.
Yeah.
So therefore,
that's fine.
combining everything, that means our official combined ranking is part 1, part 2, part 3. News chat time. Quickly, we talked about Mads extensively playing Grindelwald, taking over Johnny Depp in that good old Fantastic Beasts 3. That news has now been confirmed. It is happening. Do we have anything else to add other than, you know, I'm once again happy about this and it's cool?
Depp's still getting like his 7-figure salary or 8-figure, however much it is.
That's right. Yeah, it was 8 figures.
Yeah.
It was 8 figures.
And so they've already shot one scene with him in it, so they're probably going to reshoot that or just cut it, or maybe they're going to leave it in just for the fuck of it.
Just for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. When they said, I read that too, 8 figures, I was like, wait, is that's above $10 million for one scene. All right.
Grindelwald has a fucked up eye, doesn't he?
I think so.
That's going to be another character that Mads plays with, you know, some kind of shit to his eye.
Hell yeah, dude. Give me Lashif vibes. He's going to be like whitehead Lashif. That's cool. With a wand. Well, that's it for News Chat. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I guess I'll say End of Evangelion, which is
Henry, shout out.
Henry, which is the film which comes after the anime Evangelion, the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. And so yeah, I basically watched the show to get to the film because Henry was hyping it up and everything, and yeah, it was worth it. It was pretty awesome. The director animated guy Hideo. How do you say the name? I don't know. Hideo.
Kojima.
Some shit.
I wish.
He just goes like all out on the film. The film is crazy. In terms of what happened, and also in terms of like what he does, how experimental he is with the film, montage scenes and stuff, just intersplicing different genres and stuff I don't want to mention because it's spoilery, but he does some crazy stuff, especially near the end of the film.
Now, I need to ask you, all right, would I like it?
No, you'd probably hate it.
I'd probably hate it. Wow. Not even like I probably just wouldn't like it that much.
It's pretty weird. It's very sexual.
Okay. It's very what?
It's very sexual at times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's a bit of an endorsement for it.
I mean, I feel like you'd find that a bit strange, a bit repulsed.
But fan service and anime kind of go hand in hand. Like, it's unfortunate, but like, it's hard to find an anime without fan service, so it's just like another convention of the genre.
I feel like these are things I'd like.
But
Okay.
It's philosophical, I guess.
But in a, I've been thinking of ending things way, or in a.
No, so it's like the Matrix.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely, the Matrix. Yeah, in which way is it?
Well, the philosophical stuff is more spelled out, I guess. So maybe the former, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of all through dialogue, the philosophy parts.
Dude, I got shit all for watching. Do you want me to chat about the invention of lying? I like it a lot. It's it's a Ricky Gervais comedy, romantic comedy, pretty straightforward shit we all know about, right? But there's some fun to be had in that genre. But of course, the premise is just an excuse to have some pretty unique, clever humor in it, which I appreciate a lot. I like all the stuff with like the coke ads and shit. That makes me laugh. So that's how I view the movie. It's just this generic Ricky Gervais comedy. Ricky Gervais is great. Chuck him in a romantic comedy. I'm probably going to like it to some level. Add in the whole lying premise thing, and you get some clever humor from it. Therefore, you kind of mix it into a movie I like. So yeah, terrific. But what have you been watching, Jaden?
I don't know. Fuck, I'm going to talk about a short film that Netflix released this week.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if it's released this week, but I watched it this week and it seems pretty new. It's called If Anything Happens, I Love You. And I think from the title, we all know what happens, right? Finny, can you take a guess?
Someone dies or someone loves someone?
Yeah, can you figure out how they die?
Hang on, what was it called again?
If anything happens, I love you.
I feel really stupid. I don't know what you're getting at.
It's about a school shooting, essentially.
Okay.
It's like 10 minutes. It's not fucking anything long at all. But it's getting praised so much, and everyone's like, oh, if this doesn't get an Academy Award, oh fucking cry more. Like it's such obvious fucking Oscar bait, and like it's just made by a bunch of self-righteous assholes jerking themselves off in a room and like, oh, we fix school shootings now. Fuck off, you did nothing. The film tries too hard to be emotional, but does nothing because of just how obvious it is and how like it's just such a plain thing that it doesn't even try and do anything new. It's all just generic shit, and like the song choice that they use like halfway through it is so inappropriate and mismatched to what the tone that they're already setting. It's really bad in that way. Like the animation is actually really nice, and it's rather it's well done in that aspect. But like story wise and like pretty much like every other choice that they made. I mean, like even like it's yeah.
There's no story.
I mean, the story is that the mother and the father are their relationships crumbling after the loss of their daughter. And then the cat magically plays a record, and they can reminisce about the daughter, and then their relationship is fixed.
Did someone say cat?
Yeah.
I didn't think the school shooting thing, that it was like, obviously it was a school shooting, but when I read the synopsis, it said it was a school shooting, so.
I mean, but the fucking text, it because the title is derived from a text that the daughter sends. And like it's like that, like in my mind, you see that and it pretty much just connects immediately. And like fucking, it's I don't know. Look, maybe I'm just heartless and I don't give a shit. But it's poor.
Okay, but hey, what about If Anything Happens, I Love You? What about the title? Like, was meant to make me think school shooting.
Well, it's just kind of the text that you associate with 'Cause, like when you like see like those. I can't recall where it is I've seen them now, but like like there's always those things where like the kid's hiding in the cupboard and they're trying to get that one last text out to their parents or whatever, and it's just something like that.
Oh. I can see that. I would just, okay. I just associate that with any sort of
Tragedy.
potentially dangerous situation that someone enters. Like, I feel like someone could like say that if they're going on a sketchy airplane or something. You know what I mean? Like, nothing about it narrowed down just school shootings. But I get what you mean.
I don't know. That's just the connection I made immediately. I like you're right in saying it could be anything, but like that's what I went straight to.
But as always, now we hand the show over to you, the people.
Cringe.
I'm really sorry. I'm actually I found it most funny because I genuinely like it came out of my mouth like as the thought. Like I was not planning that whatsoever. Anyway, with our question of the show last week, we asked you, what's your favourite comedy movie of all time? Lockie says, This Is the End is my favourite comedy movie. It's just pure fun, silly humour that is genuinely funny and gives me the giggles every time. Lockie, come on, spell. Every time I watch it. Thank you very much, Lockie. This Is the End. Is that got Emma Watson in it?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay. I feel like in my brain I always got this mixed up with The World's End, which I've now seen. Pretty understandable if I do say so myself. But Luke says, Blades of Glory is an okay comedy, but I mean, are comedies supposed to be good? Isn't the point of comedies to be a bit of a joke? Should comedies be good movies or should they just be purposefully laughable? If you know the answer, please post your answer to 14 answer to Cinema Effect Lane, Victoria 3228 for your chance to win a toaster. That's nice.
Wow, he's exposing where he lives.
He is. Well, the Torquay postcode isn't exposed to our postcode.
Well, you didn't have to say that, did you, Liam?
Second-hand exposed. But actually, to be fair, he's done this kind of thing before, hasn't he? He's done the whole, like, address joke before, I think.
Has he?
I think so. Is that, like, the whole post your answer to X address Lane, Victoria? So what I'm saying, Luke, is I'll give your comment a 6 out of 10.
Unoriginal.
Unoriginal. Pretty, I like it. I laughed. I liked it. But unoriginal, yeah. Kind of like The Godfather Part 3. But our favourite comedies of all time. Guys, can you please let me count Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Why not? I used the filter on Letterboxd, and it was in there. So I think Letterboxd has spoken. Although there were some other really weird ones in there that should not have been as well. So I'll say Thor Ragnarok. Shout out to The Nice Guys, because I think that's like more clearly defined as a comedy, you know. I like that movie a lot. That movie made me laugh a lot. But Thor Ragnarok, of course, just a terrific movie. That just cracks me up so much. But what about you, Jaden?
Picking this is weird because like so many of like I'm doing the comedy filter now, and a lot of like my top rated ones, they're like hybrids. You know, they're like horror comedies or action comedies or so like. But like so in terms of like an actual like pure comedy, I think my favorite is. It's not even a real movie. It's a TV special for a show called The Thick of It, and I call it The Rise of the Nutters, and it's basically just an hour special of so The Thick of It's about it's about some like MPs or politicians or whatever in England, and about like just how they interact and shit, and it's really fucking funny. And the show only ran for 2 seasons, but then I think at the end of the second season is when they called the election for the new government early. So they made this special for it, and it's so bloody funny. I really can't recommend The Thick of It enough to anyone. But just this special alone is just really brilliant because it's like having a regular episode but just fucking doubled.
I've never heard of this show. Have you talked about it before?
Yeah, I think at the start of when I first came on, I was watching it. So in my highlights of the week, like back fucking 30 weeks ago, I think I talked about it.
I've added it to my watch list. What about you?
Smiley Face, which is this comedy, stoner comedy, where Anna Faris, like, she has too much marijuana accidentally, and it just follows her day when she makes bad decisions, and it's really like dumb funny, but it's really funny. It's by this Greg Akari who made some actual other good films, I would say, but it's got some strange cameos. It's got what's the guy from The Office?
Steve Carell.
The gym. It's got gym guy.
John Krasinski.
Yeah, he's in it. And the coach from Glee and stuff. It's funny, dude. Oh, if you want to watch it, you could illegally do something, or you could, with McAfee Live Safe, use a free network. What do they call it? VPN, and go to United States, and then go to Pluto. No, go to Tubi TV US, and then it's there for free. Tubi TV and Pluto TV are US services that you can access via VPN, show free movies.
That was a very specific set of instructions. I hope it helps someone. I mean, it might help me. The dumb humor, silly humor, stupid humor, all those synonyms. That's my humor. So excellent. Well, thank you guys very much for your answers. That's it for this week's episode of the critically acclaimed Cinema Effect podcast.
I mean, at the moment we're like 100% on an Apple podcast, so that's pretty fucking bang.
I know, right? And of 6 ratings. And when you think about, seeing on IMDb the Metascore of something, and you see the Metascore and below how many critics, like seeing 100 and then 6 critics, that sounds pretty legitimate. All right. What are we watching next week, Fitzy? Can you remember?
Watching Knowing.
Yes. What's it on?
Stan?
We're both unsure.
I'm pretty sure it is Stan. I think we've got a string of Stan movies coming up.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That's spoilers for next week. We may or may not have a few Stan things lined up.
We cannot disclose that. It is Stan, confirmed. Okay, thank you, Fitzy, for that. Thank you, Jana, for joining me. Thank you both.
Yep.
It's great. We'll see you, everyone, in next week at the next one. So, yeah.
Pretty shit outro.
Really shit outro. One of the worst I've ever done. One of the worst ever. Anyway, we appreciate you all. Take care. Have a good week and goodbye.